The LA Clippers had an opportunity to get themselves one step closer to being the 3 seed on Tuesday night against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And with Kawhi Leonard leaving the building due to injury, the Clippers showed how bad of a team they really are without Kawhi Leonard, collapsing yet again in embarrassing fashion. Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Unserious Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, and in my 19th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Dime Dropper Pod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper and LA sports content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. And I want you to let me know, what do you think our team would be without Kawhi Leonard? Like, what record, what seed, all that. I need to know, because all the evidence from this game points to they would be terrible. By the way, if you notice, my lighting is a little different. My green screen is not in effect because when I film these episodes with the broad daylight, sometimes it's hard to find that equilibrium that my green screen needs. So apologies for that if you're watching on video. I want to also apologize for the episode coming out a little bit late. I had a really rough, probably my roughest game coaching ever on Tuesday night. So I didn't even actually get to watch the Clipper game till like 1:30 in the morning, 2 a.m. And I looked too tired to record an episode. So situations like that, that's why we have Pete Fox over with the Locked On Clippers postcast. If you're wondering what that is, it's to have an episode come out right away for our Locked On Los Angeles network. And at times when I can't upload right away, Pete's got us covered. So if you want an instant breakdown of the game, go find Pete Fox's Locked On postcast for the Clippers on the Locked On Los Angeles page and Locked On Clippers podcast. But of course, I am still your host 5 days a week. We're going to talk about the collapse in this game, Kawhi Leonard, and how unserious we looked with him and his injury. And then just an overall summary of what this loss means. But it was, again, a tale of two halves for the Clippers, but not the good kind. In the first half, we were rolling on all cylinders. Now, mind you, the Minnesota Timberwolves, one loss less than us going into this game in the loss column, right? As far as Rudy Gobert, he played in this game. We were talking about before the game, is Rudy Gobert going to play? He did play, and he definitely made a difference. To start the game, though, we had Terrence Mann guarding Mike Conley, Kawhi Leonard on Anthony Edwards. So a lot of times we saw Terrence Mann guarding Anthony Edwards in the past. Now Kawhi guarding him, Harden on McDaniels, Zoo on Gobert, and Paul George on Kyle Anderson, who started in place of Towns. And then on the other side, you had Conley guarding Harden, Ant-Man on PG, McDaniels on Kawhi, Gobert on Zoo, and Kyle Anderson on Terrence Mann. Both teams switching 1 through 4 and dropping with their bigs. And in the beginning of the game, Kyle Anderson's lack of shooting was really hurting the Wolves. He got caught into a pickle a couple of times where he didn't really know what to do, passed up shots, and it led to turnovers. So we kind of exploited that. And I thought the start of the game, I thought our guys were pretty solid. But as the game went on, we continued to be solid. Kawhi, Paul George got up to decent starts. Harden made 2 threes in the first quarter. So things were actually going smoothly. Terrence Mann had a wide open 3. Amir Coffey was getting into the act. Norman Powell came in and started lighting it up. And I thought one thing that I found interesting was I kept talking about if Gobert plays, we got to take advantage of that in-between game, because they're going to, when Gobert plays, they play pick and rolls 2-on-2 to try not to send over help from the weak side or get a third defender involved in the action. So they let Gobert and whoever the point of attack guy is guard those 2 players in the pick and roll without trying to send help. And you got to take that mid-range shot, that in-between game, And I thought we did a pretty good job of attacking Rudy Gobert. Yeah, he got a couple of blocks, but we still tested him out. We still went at his chest. We still tried to make him defend. And in the first quarter, Kawhi Leonard had 6 points, Paul George had 7 points, and James Harden had 6 points. You also had like 7 different scores. Actually, 8 different scores in the first quarter. We were shooting 55% from the field and 67% from 3. We were up 34-21 after the first quarter. And that would be the only quarter that we won. Bones even hit a step back 3. Our defense was solid. We were just rolling on all cylinders, but there was one thing that was keeping the Timberwolves in the game. Offensive rebounding. And I really have to give Ivica Zubac a hard time here because several times Rudy Gobert grabbed a rebound right over his head. Gobert had 7 offensive rebounds. We had 8 offensive rebounds as a team. In the game, the Timberwolves had 19 offensive rebounds to our 8. No rebounds, no rings. It's super funny because the team that I coached on Tuesday night had the exact same issue. They weren't rebounding. No rebounds, no rings. There's a couple things that go into rebounding. One, box out, straight up. And no one seems to do this. No one seems to understand this fundamental skill because so many of these guys went to college for 1 year or less. And then when they get to the NBA, they just forget about boxing out because everybody gets back on defense in this transition era, so no one goes for rebounds. That stuff drives me up the wall when they don't box out. Secondly, box out for real. Get your butt into the defender, spread your arms, and explode. Don't just, for 1 second, get in front and spread your arms and don't actually make contact. Disgraceful effort on the glass from our players. Straight up. I understand you're in scrambles. You cannot be ball watching. When a shot goes up, you find a body. I'm exploding right now. That was unacceptable to rebound like that without Towns. Without Towns. Everyone should be ashamed. Zubac, I love you, bro, and I've defended you over and over. Unacceptable to get out-rebounded like that. We ended the half extremely poorly. At one point, we were up 49-28. And I thought Paul George did a really good job guarding in the first half. And then the Ant-Man took over. Completely took over. We had nobody that could guard him. He was getting to the bat without Kawhi. He was getting to the basket left and right. And by the way, Kawhi didn't come in the second quarter. So I'm starting to think, what's going on? Why isn't Kawhi coming back in the game? And then they revealed that he has left the arena. Immediately I started panicking. I was like, what is going on? Is he just leaving? He's got to be injured. And then we find out that he's having a back issue. Now, I'm going to talk about that coming up. That obviously scares me immensely. So the game goes on, and James Harden, I'm gonna not sugarcoat it like right now. That was the most frustrated I have ever been at James Harden as a member of the Clippers. I mean, he was completely unserious. He looked like one of his just atrocity of playoff games he's had in the past. Turning the ball. You know, when James Harden's in the pick and roll, it feels like every time we're going to get a good shot for the most part. Well, on Tuesday, every time he was in the pick and roll, it felt like we were going to turn the ball over. He was throwing it away recklessly. They were giving him the in-between game, which, again, is one of the biggest reasons I was a James Harden, you know what? I don't even care anymore. I was a James Harden hater when he was in Houston because he neglected in the middle of the floor when D'Antoni became his coach. He stopped taking mid-range shots. All he took was floaters, layups, and threes. That is not going to win you a championship against good defenses. You cannot neglect parts of the floor that are being given to you. And this guy's getting into the paint. He's got the mid-range pull-up that he can take. He's got the floater, and he continues to go away from it because Gobert is there, and instead he passes it out to a shooter who's not open or takes it back out, and 15 seconds have gone off the clock. I can't stand how he waits 14 seconds sometimes to get the screen that he wants. He'll ask for a screen, be like, I don't want that. Then another screen will come. And we're already at 9 and 8 in the shot clock. By the time he drives and kicks, whoever catches the ball has 5 seconds to work. And then let me not even get us started on his defense. Absolute joke. Everyone he guarded scored, whether it was off the ball or on the ball. He was terrible. There was one time he dribbled for 50 seconds, took a step back 3, bricked it, did not get back on D, and did not pick up the ball. This is in the second quarter. And then he's foul baiting, missing another 3. Terrence starts bricking. He lost the ball, doesn't follow up on McLaughlin, and we keep turning it over and over again. And that was just the beginning. We were still up by 8 points at halftime, and Paul George had 13 at the half. And then in the third quarter, the Wolves started Nickeil Alexander-Walker instead of Kyle Anderson. I'm not going to mention that Ant-Man didn't start the first quarter. That's trivial. We started Norm over Kawhi. And we made an adjustment. We were like, okay, Ant-Man is getting downhill. We started showing Zubats on the screens with Ant, right? Conley on defense, showing and recovering. He wasn't switching on Paul George. Minnesota goes on a 10-0 run, and it's all because their defensive intensities went to another level. They started locking up. They started sitting in a chair. Nickeil Alexander-Walker started guarding James Harden. Paul George was being guarded by McDaniels. So now they have two of the more elite defenders guarding them, and they completely collapsed, the two of them. Completely. The Timberwolves had a 10-0 run they went on, and then a 15-4 run they went on in the last 5 minutes and 30 seconds of the quarter. Ant-Man had 30 points through 3 quarters of the game. 30 points. In the third quarter, he had 8 points. In the third quarter, Nickeil Alexander-Walker had 10 points. And in the third quarter, our Los Angeles Clippers had 9 turnovers in the quarter alone. 5 of them from Paul George, 3 of them from James Harden. Now, here's the thing about Harden. He had 2 points and was 0 for 1. Paul George at least got to the line and had 7 points, right? 7 of our 15. But that being said, so yes, of course, I think Paul George played better than James Harden. Let's look at the stat line overall. Paul George had 22 points. He was our leading scorer. He was 10 for 10 from the line, so I love that he got to the line. Usually when he gets to the line that much, we win. But he was 5 for 11 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, so he actually shot very efficiently. But the 5 turnovers is a joke. And then James Harden, 12 points, 7 assists, 4 turnovers, and 4 for 10 shooting, 2 for 6 from 3. His defense was an atrocity. Both of them are just completely unserious without Kawhi. The way they were just getting rid of and losing the ball like that, and then on defense, in transition, sometimes we're poor. We got beat backdoor twice. There was one time Alexander Walker beat Paul George backdoor. There was another time McLaughlin beat Amir Coffey backdoor. To start the fourth quarter, we play zone. The zone is garbage. Mike Conley starts spraying on us. There was one point in the third quarter we had 4 turnovers in 5 possessions. James Harden and Paul George, if they didn't have Kawhi Leonard, they'd be a play-in team at best because they're both wildly inconsistent and unserious. And against high-level defenses, James Harden looks like a deer in the headlights. He looks like he can't create a shot. He can't create separation. And when teams have better drop bigs that they rely on and don't send over an extra defender, his kick-out passes that he relies on so much are no longer there, and it exposes the fact that he's uncomfortable in the in-between. He needs to take that shot with regularity. I know he has no pull-up on a dime. He's got 0. He needs to step back and push off. Fine, do that. Or come to a full stop. Whatever it takes to get you to take that shot, James. Because you running it back out like that? No. And then Paul George with his 2 offensive fouls. And we know, listen, if Paul George was the best player on his team, he'd average 4 to 5 turnovers a night. Let's talk about Kawhi coming up. I am so fired up right now. Thankfully, I didn't record this last night because this is what they deserve. Notice I'm not making any bold takes about the team. I'm just talking about this game. And I deserve to be this mad, and everyone deserves to be this mad because you cannot squander an opportunity like that. And they haven't looked good in weeks. Going to talk about it coming up. I got to tell you a little something about eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. As you know, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel, Locked On Sports Today. Baseball fans, mark your calendars for March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for the best MLB season preview coming exclusively to Locked On Sports Today. On March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, be the first to get local insight from the MLB local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Find it on March 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the Locked On Sports Today 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. All right, let's talk about the bad news. Kawhi Leonard leaving the game with apparent back spasms. Now, I was shocked when I heard that. I was like, back spasms? Since when does Kawhi have a back issue? They said he was out with a groin injury. Even though I kept saying that was load management, I thought he was fine. With Paul George, it was clearly load management. He has dealt with a groin injury, though, Paul, throughout the season, but he looked fine health-wise. The fact that he got to the line 10 times, his defense in the first half was good. He just turned the ball over because that's what he does. But he was fine health-wise to me. Kawhi Leonard, he didn't look bad in the first quarter, in my opinion, but apparently he didn't feel good. And was it load management for a groin, or was he actually hurt with a back injury? Because Ty Lue after the game said he'd been dealing with it for a couple of days. So he has an existing injury that he was playing through? What is going on? So he's not being load managed against Milwaukee? He didn't have why are we listing injuries? Like, I hate this stuff. Like, I really hate it. Like, if he actually has a back injury, then why didn't we say he's out with back spasms for load management? Or he's going to miss the game with back spasms? Maybe he's not load managing at all. He should have been load managed. Or sat. I don't care. If he's playing and he's hurt, that's concerning. Hopefully this isn't serious, because if it is, our season's done. It's over. I'm going to keep knocking on wood. Just because he's missed 6 games this season, but they haven't been serious. I hope this is the same, but the fact that he's leaving the arena early, yes, it's Kawhi, and you never know what to expect with his injuries and stuff, but when a guy leaves the arena, that means they need to go to a hospital. I really hope that wasn't the case, because if it is, we're screwed. Because Paul George is so loosey-goosey with the ball, you don't know what version you're going to get. James Harden is not who he once was. He can play really well against bad teams, but against good teams, he's maybe had 3 or 4 good games all season. Good. He's had some average ones, but he's not been creating enough advantages the last couple of weeks. It's just a simple fact. He's played in every single game, and I think the toll of the season is wearing on him. Straight up. He's old. He lives a hectic lifestyle. He doesn't, from what I heard from his Philadelphia media, he does not sleep that much. He's a very hardworking basketball player, and he has a fun time in his life, and he takes full advantage of the NBA lifestyle. I don't know what to say, but is he going to revive during the playoffs health-wise? Are Paul George and James Harden and Kawhi going to look fresher in the playoffs? Because we have no room to rest with the loss that we just took. Let's read some of the stat lines for the game. We lost 118-100. We got outscored in the second quarter 34-29. We got outscored in the third quarter 29-15. And we got outscored in the fourth quarter 34-22. We went to a weak zone that didn't work. Mike Conley started spraying. Let me see if Paul George even got back in the game in the fourth quarter. He did not. Actually, he did for 3 minutes. Bones Highland and James Harden were minus 14 in the quarter. It was just a joke. It was just a complete joke, the way he collapsed like that. And let me just say this, right? This team can't be judged without Kawhi. If you want to make judgments about this team, because I saw my Twitter timeline last night, and everybody was like, season's over, we're unserious, we're this and that. And I don't fully agree with that, because when you have Kawhi Leonard, everything changes, which, again, just reiterates why one person in basketball makes such a big difference, and why, when people talk about, why do we value rings so much? Rings are a team accomplishment. Look what one guy does. With one guy missing, Kawhi Leonard, we go from a championship contender to we were a play-in team at best. That's what the truth is. One person makes that much of a difference in basketball. Serious. If you take Magic off the Showtime Lakers, they don't win anything. They have Kareem and James, where they don't win anything. They maybe win a first-round series. Maybe a second round at most. They're not winning a chip without Magic. The same goes for Kawhi. Any great player. So we can't judge the Clippers without Kawhi. If you want to judge them without Kawhi and say they're terrible and unserious and Paul George and James Harden can't do this and that, fine. You also have to remember we're missing Westbrook. And in games where we don't have one of the big three starting, Westbrook massively helps. However, it is Minnesota, and I did say I don't like our matchup against them with that. But when Gobert was out, Westbrook could have made a difference. And you know what I'm noticing even more without Westbrook? More games where it looks like the players just don't give a damn. That's what Westbrook's great for. That energy, that intensity, that seriousness he brings to every game. Yeah, he can be out of control. At least he's going to go balls to the wall. We really miss that. We really do. So I hope Russ comes back soon. I hope Kawhi comes back soon. But the way we collapsed like that, it was just insane. Kawhi Leonard only had 6 points on 2 for 4 shooting. Zubac's had 10 points and 8 rebounds, and I think he started out the game well. I want to see how many of those 10 points and 8 rebounds came in the first quarter for him. Let's see. 4 points and 4 rebounds. So for the rest of the game, he had 6 points and 4 boards. That's just not good enough. Just totally not good enough. Zubac needed to be much better. He needs to be better, period. He hasn't been very good the last couple of weeks. I know he played well against Chicago and Milwaukee, but we need him to play at a higher level. And then Terrence Mann, he needs to be better defensively. He did get a steal on Ant, I will say. But 7 points, 2 rebounds, 3 steals. He needs to be better staying in front of the ball. 3 for 6 from the field and 1 for 3 from deep in 28 minutes. He was a team worst -20. Here's what I'll say about Terrence. If Kawhi is out, he needs to do a better job defending, or else, we got to look at this offseason getting a better point of attack defender than him. Daniel Tice played 15 minutes. I actually thought he was pretty good. 10 points, 4 boards, 1 steal, 2 blocks on 4 for 5 shooting and 1 for 1 from 3. So I actually liked what Tice did. One of the only people I can say that about. Bones Highland, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists. He did have 2 turnovers on 3 for 8 shooting and 2 for 4 from 3. He was whatever, in my opinion. And then Amir Coffey, I thought his defense was not as good as normal. 8 points for him on 3 for 6 shooting, 1 for 4 from 3. And then Norman Powell, 11 points on 4 for 9 shooting, 1 for 2 from 3 in 28 minutes. So as a team, we shot 47%. We shot 37% from 3, which is not even that bad. And we shot 11 more free throws than they did. And we shot 84% from the line. But we shot 22 less field goals than they did. 22 less. And a lot of that is the offensive rebounds and the turnovers. They had 19 offensive rebounds to our 8, and we had 18 turnovers to their 11. And they had 24 points off our turnovers. And they shot 51%. And the Ant-Man had 37 points. Mike Conley had 23. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker had 28 on 9 for 10 shooting. Coming up, going to talk about what that loss means and what it means for our standing and our potential of getting a higher seed. I got to tell you a little something about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. We are the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. All you got to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. It's demon time on Prize Picks. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Demons and Goblins are the newest and most exciting way to play at Prize Picks. Squares marked with red demons or green goblins get you different payouts. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. And if you want to play alongside some of Prize Picks' favorite players, like rapper Meek Mill and comedian Andrew Schultz, all you got to do is go to the community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Picks community each week. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA. It is highly encouraged. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. I got to tell you a little something about Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standings. Robinhood Financial LLC is a registered broker deal. All right. So what now? Clippers lose 118-100 to the Wolves. We dropped to 41-23. Lost the season series to the Wolves 3-1. 22-10 at home now, the Clippers. We started out with such a good home record, but now the best we can do is 31-10, which would be great, but it looked like it was going to be a better home record than that. We're 7-8 since the Grammy trip, and now we are, it's funny, the Thunder lost, so we're still only 3 games behind the Thunder in the loss column, but now, listen to this danger. The New Orleans Pelicans are only 2 games behind us for the 4 seed. They're starting to creep up. They've won 4 games in a row, and they're 7-3 in their last 10. So we're starting to be in real danger. And if we don't have a top 4 seed, I mean, that's it. I mean, finished. Like, there's nothing I can say. We're now 2 games behind the Wolves in the loss column, 3 behind Denver, and 3 behind OKC. The 1 seed is starting to look out of the question. And I don't know what to say. It's either our squad is just old and looking tired, or we just weren't serious about the seeding thing. We haven't played well in a long time. Like, we played well against Minnesota, but like we haven't put on good 2-way performances like we did at Boston in a long time. Since that, really. I don't know if this team was too old. Did we go too old by trading for Harden? Funny part is we traded old guys for Harden. We went all in. We got to figure this out. I don't know what has to change. I said it last episode. It's about the stars. Without Kawhi, I mean, there's nothing there, but we blew a great opportunity. We blew a great opportunity to get closer to the Wolves. Cat's still out, though, so they might lose games. But with Gobert, with Ant, and all those great defenders they have, they might not lose as much as we think. Clippers got to start winning. We got to stop losing. By the way, just to put some perspective into this, the Clippers' best record ever was 57-25 by the 2014 team. To achieve that record now, we'd have to go 16-2 for the rest of the season. Are we going to do that? No. So we won't get the best record in franchise history. The next best was 2013 and 2015, 56-26. We'd have to go 13-3. I don't think we're going to do that either. So this won't even be a top 3 record in Clipper history. We're going to be flirting with 2016 and 17 records, like 50 wins. That would be good to still get 50-plus wins, but that whole this is the best Clipper team ever, if we don't make the conference finals, they got no argument. I don't care how much talent they had and how high they peaked in December or January. I don't care. That's why I try not to get too high on them. And, you know, I honestly started drinking the Kool-Aid. I started drinking it, even though I never believed that with James Harden and Paul George, we could win a championship together, and Westbrook. I just thought it was too much problematic guys in the playoffs. We haven't gotten there yet. I'm not going to lie, honestly, anymore. Like, I don't think we can win a championship because of our stars. Everybody but Kawhi. Those other 3 guys, straight up. Love Paul George. Love Westbrook. Harden has been fantastic for the Clippers. I don't trust either of them in the playoffs. Paul George was great in 2021. That's not the championship, though. To win it all, there's small room for error. So they got to step it up. Point blank, end of story. And we don't have Kawhi, we got nothing. And let me just say this. If Kawhi can't stay healthy in the playoffs this season after he's been healthy all year, blow the thing sky high. Nobody wants to see it again next year if we can't stay healthy this year. I'm serious. Blow it sky high. That's my take. But I'm not saying to do that because Kawhi, we very, very well could be back in 3 games, and then we're back to, you know, having Kawhi, James Harden, and Paul George and potentially competing to go high again, go high in the standings again. So I'm not going to give those bold takes like the Clippers are cooked, there's no way we're winning a chip, this and that. But, I mean, what else am I supposed to say? And by the way, if anyone mentions Ty Lue, what was he supposed to do? Our offense is exactly the same, you know, as other teams, whether Kawhi was in or out. The players turn the ball over. What was he supposed to do? If you're saying the team wasn't motivated, I disagree because we were up by 22 points. The fact of the matter is without Kawhi, we're not that good. And Minnesota's defense is excellent. So when you have Paul George and James Harden that struggle to create advantages against good defenses, and they've been very suspect against great defenses all year, why are you surprised? It just goes to show how bad we are without Kawhi and how much we need him. Crazy that this is why we got James Harden, right? To games without Kawhi. I guess those only apply to when we play bad teams without Kawhi. I'm done. I have nothing else to say. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, where even more Clipper content will be there. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Let me know what you thought of the episode. Unleash all your wrath in the comments, guys. I will see it. It's therapy. Go all out, whether you agree with me or disagree. I know a lot of Harden fans are going to get super butthurt about what I said in this episode. I could not give less of a damn because all you guys are going to be gone with him too one day. And I'll be very happy when you are. The age-old prop. That applies to all the stands, by the way, not just James Harden's. I can't wait till all of them are gone because you guys just deflect blame. Is there anybody I didn't blame? Oh, yeah, I guess you could say Ty Lue because I don't believe he had anything to do with it. I really don't. I don't believe he had anything to do with it. What's he supposed to do about the fact that Paul George and James Harden can't create advantages in pick and roll? Like, what? Can you drop a play? You criticizing Ty Lue? Can you drop a play? Can you even drop a play for a youth team? I'm a youth coach. I'm a middle school coach. And I don't critique the play calling because I see that they're calling sets. And by the way, if you're saying pick and roll is not a set, that's what every team runs. That's what Minnesota was running. The only difference is they were converting. And they don't have Gobert. I'm sorry, we don't have Gobert taking away things. And we have way worse point of attack defenders than they do. They have a better defense. So, like, if you go to coaching, to me, that tells me that you don't either don't want to keep the players accountable and you don't know what you're watching. One of the two. You can debate me on my own platform. Have a good day. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers. I need something to eat because I'm just losing it over here. All right, this was like a dime dropper version of Locked On. Hope you guys enjoyed because I don't get this riled up usually on Locked On. I try to keep it professional. But it doesn't matter. They don't deserve professional. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers.